Hello, dear students. I am Kamli Namrata Jayavant, Assistant Professor in Physics at Arts, Science and Commerce College, Ramanand Nagar, Burli. And we are here for this online lecture series for BSc 1. And we are talking about the chapter Oscillations, which belongs to Semester 1, Paper 2, and Unit 3. So, in the previous lectures, we have talked about introduction of the chapter. Then we have gone for the concept of restoring force. After which we have talked about kinetic and potential energy of an oscillating particle. And then we discussed about effect of inertia on the oscillations of a particle. Further, we went on for few definitions which included free oscillations, damped oscillations, and then damping forces, forced oscillations, and amplitude. Then we talked about few more definitions which included time period and frequency. After which we discussed about simple harmonic motion. Then we talked about the restoring force and the displacement and relation between them with respect to this simple harmonic motion. Okay? And then we talked about this graph or the nature of graph of restoring force versus amplitude. And in the recent lecture, in the recent last lecture, we talked about importance of SHM. Today, we will start with differential equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, so what do we know initially is that this restoring force is directly proportional to the displacement, and this K is what we call as proportionality constant or spring constant. Okay, so this is one definition that I have from spring mass oscillator or from simple harmonic motion. This is one equation that I have with simple that comes from simple harmonic motion. But by Newton's law, we also know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now, I can always write acceleration as a, or I can write this a as time derivative of velocity. We all know this. We can write it as time derivative of velocity, or I can also write it as time derivative of velocity, or I can also write it as double time derivative of displacement. So I can write it as d2x by dt square, right? I can write it as d2x by dt square. So this is what I've chosen to write in this equation. I write Newton's second law as m into d2x by dt square, which is mass into acceleration, m into dt by m into dv by dt, or I can also write it as m into d2x by dt square. Okay. Now what am I going to do next is I'm going to equate these two equations. I'm going to equate minus of kx with m into d2x by dt square. So what am I left with is d2x by dt square, which is equal to, I'm just keeping this d2x by dt square to one side, and then I'm simply going to write simply going to shift this m to the left hand side. So once I do that, I'm left with minus of k by m into x, and once I take this minus of k by m into x to the left hand side, I'm left with d2x by dt square plus k by m into x is equal to 0, which is nothing but equation of motion of simple harmonic motion, or I can also call it as differential equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, so putting k by m is equal to omega square, I'm just going to substitute omega square in the place of k by m. What do I get is d2x by dt square plus omega square x is equal to 0. So this is our equation that we are looking for, or this is the differential equation of simple harmonic motion. I hope you are clear with the derivation. What we have done is I have first taken the simple harmonic motion, its expression mathematically, which is f is equal to minus of kx. Then I have equated it with the equation of motion given by Newton, which is mass into acceleration. And once I equate them together, then I get d2x by dt square is plus k by m into x is equal to 0. Further, I have replaced k by m with omega square to get this final derivation, which is d2x by dt square plus omega square x is equal to 0. Okay, so once we are clear with this equation, we can further move on to study the solution of this differential equation. Okay, so let us move on to the next slide to see how do we solve this simple harmonic motions differential equation. Okay. Okay, so the next point that we have is solution of differential equation. So once we talk about solution of differential equation, the question that must arise to your mind is that how to determine whether a given equation or a given function is solution of differential equation. So we need to consider few facts, or we need to consider, or we need to understand few tricks that we can use to decide whether given function is solution of differential equation or not. So how can we do that? Okay, so we need to consider as I said, we need to consider few facts. The fact being, the SHM needs to be, the solution to the SHM needs to be repetitive in nature, such that its second derivative is initial function itself. Because if we have seen this simple harmonic motion, or the wave diagram, or the waveform of this simple harmonic motion, what do we observe is that, let this uh, let this axis be t and this axis be x, displacement versus time graph is what I'm plotting now. So you will see that the particle will move from its mean position. This is its mean position. From its mean position, it will go to the first point, or first extreme position. I call it as A now, but I just cannot write it because of lack of space. But just understand that it will start from the mean position, or it will start from the equilibrium. It will go to its first extreme position. From its first extreme position, it will again start coming back, and then it will come back to the mean position, or it will come back to the original position. After it comes back to the original position, it will go to the other extreme point. It will go to other extreme point, and from this other extreme point, it will come back to the mean position, right? So this is how an oscillation is performed. Now once it comes back to its mean position again, that after it has completed a time span of one time period, it will again go to the same extreme position where it had been earlier. Okay, it is going to the same mean position again. So so what you come to know is that it is repeating its phase after a time span, or after a 2 pi phase. It is coming back to its original phase after a span of 2 pi. Okay, so how am I going to represent this, or how can I do that? I am simply going to I'm simply going to choose a function which is going to be repetitive in nature, which is going to be time dependent, and second, I want its second derivative to be its initial function. Okay, so if I do this only then I can say that the given solution is solution of SHM. Okay, so the set of such solution is in trigonometry, where sine function and cosine function holds this property. So if you remember, or if you remember from the lectures of calculus, you will come to know that the sine has derivative. The first derivative of sine is cos, and the second derivative of sine is again sine. Okay, so sine, its derivative is cos, and the first derivative of cos, or the second derivative of sine, is again cos. Okay, so once I know this, that it holds this property, this sine function or this cosine function in the trigonometry holds this property, I can choose any of the function which involves sine. So I can take sine of t, I can take sine of omega t, I can take a sine of omega t, or I can take a sine of omega t plus alpha. I'm just including new properties to the function. I'm just including new properties to the function. One more thing that I need to tell you is that this omega square, which is constant, omega square is k by m, this omega square has to be in the function. Okay, so the first condition being the function has to be repetitive in nature. The second condition being the second derivative is the initial function itself. There comes another third condition. The third condition being this omega square has to be there in the second derivative. So we need to follow these three conditions to choose the proper function for solution of differential equation. Okay, so again, if you realize, you might have realized by now that this x is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha, or any of this function like x is equal to sine t, x is equal to sine of omega t, x is equal to a sine of omega t, any of this function, if you like take second derivative of this equation, you will get this omega square as an uh, constant. It will come out as a constant. Okay, so we are going to choose this x is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha, as we are going to choose this a sine omega t plus alpha as the function of, or as solution to the simple harmonic motions differential equation. X is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha. So if I take its second derivative, all I get is minus of a omega square sine of omega t plus alpha. So what is going to be dx by dt? The dx by dt for this equation, it is going to be dx by dt is equal to, you take out omega as common. If I take out omega, it is going to be a omega and cos of omega t plus alpha, a omega cos of omega t plus alpha, cos of omega t plus alpha. So this is going to be our first derivative, and the second derivative is going to be d2x by dt square is equal to minus of a omega square sine of omega t plus alpha. Okay, so this x is equal to a sine omega t plus alpha is going to be the most general solution, as it involves linear combination of both sines and cosines, and sines and cosines is what we require to determine or to define a function which is also repetitive in nature, which is also second derivative of its initial function, and where this omega square comes out as constant, and where this omega square remains in the second derivative of the function also. Okay, so I hope that why it is clear to you that why we have chosen sine of omega t plus alpha as a sine of omega t plus alpha as solution to the differential equations. It has come out with few considerations that we have taken, or that we are concerned about initially, and then we have reached to the conclusion that this xa of sine omega t plus alpha is the most general solution, which involves linear combination of both sines and cosines as solution of the differential equation of simple harmonic motion. Okay, let us move on to see how this. Yes. So how am I going to expand this solution of simple harmonic motion into sines and cosines? So I hope you remember formula for uh, sine of a plus b. So if I have sine of a plus b, I can always expand it with the help of trigonometric formula, where I write sine a into cos b plus cos a into sine b. Now, if you relate these two formulas together, we will get to see that a is equal to omega t in this case, and b is equal to alpha. So all you need to do is substitute omega t in the place of a and alpha in the place of b. So the formula that I get is a, that will amplitude will remain outside, sine of omega t cos alpha plus cos of omega t plus sine alpha. So what am I going to do next is I can write a cos alpha is equal to capital A and a sine alpha as capital B. What am I doing is I'm writing a cos alpha is equal to capital A. This a, just a minute. How am I replacing it? Just watch it. A into cos alpha is equal to capital A, and again this a into sine alpha is equal to capital B. So once I do these substitutions, what am I left with is a sine of omega t plus b cos of omega t. So all we get is a linear combination of sine and cosine, which is what I want, or which is what I require to express a simple harmonic motion. So it again proves that this x a sine of omega t plus alpha is the solution, or is the most general solution that I can choose for simple harmonic motion. Okay, so just let me clear all this so that we can move forward. Okay, so once we are clear with why do we choose this x as general solution, we can further go on to check out what is this x, what is this a, why what is this omega, and how can we relate all these factors together. How am I going to relate this displacement with a, omega, t, and alpha? What is its physical significance? That is what I'm going to check. Okay, just let me clear it again. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the next point that we will talk is physical significance of omega, alpha, and A. Okay, so the first point that I consider is physical significance of omega. What do we know is that this displacement x of t should return to its initial value after one time period. Okay, so any displacement should return back to its original value, the point from where it started after completing one time period. So if I want to represent this diagrammatically, I again will draw a displacement versus time graph. Okay, so where this y represents displacement and this x represents time axis. So the particle, it should start from the mean position, go to the first extreme, come back to the mean position, go to the other extreme, and come back to the original position again. So it has to come back to the original position. Okay, so it once it completes its one complete rotation, or once it completes its one time period, it is expected that this particle will come back to its initial value after completing one time period. And we also know that from trigonometry, that sine and cosine function repeats itself when its argument has increased by 2 pi radian. Okay, so when I increase the argument by 2 pi radian, in that case the function comes back to its original position, and therefore what we get is omega of small t plus capital T is equal to omega small t. Now this small t be some value, some initial value, and this t is complete time period, and the time for complete time period is 2 pi, or the argument that I have for complete time period is 2 pi. So I can always replace this omega into t with 2 pi. Okay. So omega t plus omega into capital T, I can write it as omega into small t plus omega into 2 pi. This omega t and this omega t will get cancelled, and hence I will get the equation for time period, which is 2 pi by omega. So this is physical significance of omega, that omega gives you information about time period of oscillation. Okay, so what is physical significance of omega? Omega will give you information which is related to time period of oscillating particle. Okay, so let us move on. Let us move forward to see physical significance of other quantities too. This is physical significance of omega. So once I write t is equal to 2 pi by omega, it signifies that the function repeats itself after time interval of 2 pi by omega. So I write it as 2 pi by omega. I can always replace this omega with m by k, because I know the definition of omega square. Omega square is equal to k by m. That is how I have defined it in the equation where I discussed it earlier. So thus all vibrations have same period, which is determined by m and k. The time period depends upon mass, and it depends upon the spring constant. The spring constant is the property, the spring constant holds the properties of material that is used in the as an extensible thread or as an spring. So this information, or this time period is determined by m and k. That is significance of m and k, and that is again the significance of omega, because that is how I define omega. Omega is equal to k by m, root of k by m. Then we will talk about amplitude. The sine function has maximum value of +1 and -1. Therefore, maximum displacement from mean positions are going to be plus a and minus a. So I earlier had drawn this time displacement versus time graph, right? So I had drawn this displacement versus time graph. You might have noticed that this is going to be a, which is going to be the amplitude here, and this is going to be minus a. These both are equidistant from the origin. So plus a and minus a are going to be the amplitude values. And how do we define amplitude? The amplitude is the maximum displacement that is attained or that is achieved by an oscillating particle when it reaches the extreme, either extreme side. Okay, so it is the maximum displacement from the mean position of oscillating particle is what I call as amplitude. The magnitude of maximum displacement from the mean position is called as amplitude. Now it doesn't matter if we are talking about direction. On either side, it is just going to be displacement, right? If the particle goes to either this side, let the particle go to this side, or let the particle go to that side. In both the cases, it is just going to be displacement. I'm just going to measure the magnitude. So I can always write it as mod of x max. And this mod of x max, or this magnitude of maximum displacement from the mean position, is what I'm going to call amplitude. If you have seen this formula for angular acceleration, or if you have seen the formula for frequency, you will realize this omega is the angular frequency, right? And what do we know from omega? This omega is equal to root of k by m. There is no amplitude written or no amplitude impressed in it. Therefore, we can say that frequency of oscillation is independent of amplitude. Remember, frequency of oscillation is independent of amplitude. Okay, I will just clear this screen and we will move on to the next definitions, of course. Yes. So the next definition that we have is initial phase or epoch. We have chosen x is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha as our most general solution. What we have chosen is x is equal to x equals a sine of omega t plus alpha. This is the most general solution that I've chosen for the simple harmonic motion. X is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha. Okay, so the argument in it, in place of theta, I have written omega t plus alpha. So this omega t plus alpha is what I call as argument. Theta is what I call as argument, and theta is equal to tan inverse of y by x is my definition for argument. Okay, so argument omega t plus alpha of a sine function which describes the state of motion. So this omega t plus alpha is going to describe the state of motion of a particle, and this state of motion, or the argument which is defining the state of motion, is what I call as phase of motion. So when I put t is equal to 0, the phase of motion is alpha. If I'm going to put t is equal to 0, this omega t will go to 0, and if this goes to 0, all I'm left with, it's a sine of alpha. Okay, and this alpha is what I call as initial phase, or what I call as epoch. This is what I'm going to call as initial phase, or this is what I'm going to call as epoch. So the oscillating system will continue to oscillate with same a. At t is equal to 0, the oscillating system will continue to oscillate with same a, and it will continue with same alpha at fixed frequency. Okay, the time is equal to 0. There are no external forces disturbing the system. In this case, the particle will oscillate with same amplitude. Okay, so no external forces are acting on it. The particle will oscillate with same amplitude. The amplitude will not decrease with time, or there will be no damped oscillations in this case, and there will be same amplitude, and there is going to be this same initial phase or same epoch that this particle will perform oscillations with. And the frequency, now since your amplitude is fixed, since your alpha is fixed, and there are no external forces acting on it, then the frequency will also remain the same. There will be no change in the frequency. Okay, so there will be no change in the frequency. The particle will continue to oscillate with same a, same alpha, and fixed frequency, unless and until it is disturbed by some external forces acting on the system. So all you need to understand is that as long as there are no external forces acting, the amplitude, the epoch, and the frequency of the particle remains same. This is so. I hope that you are clear with all the concepts that we have discussed in the lecture, right from the simple the selection of general solution for simple harmonic motion, and from the formation or the formulation of simple harmonic motion for oscillating body, to discussing this physical significance of all the quantities that we have chosen for simple harmonic motion. Like we have written x is equal to a sine of omega t plus alpha, and in this topic we have talked about the physical significance of a being in the equation, omega being in the equation, and also alpha being into the equation. Why do we have these quantities in the equation? Okay, so I hope that you have understood it properly. In the next lecture, of course, just let me clear this screen. In the next lecture, we will talk about the next very important point, that is relation between displacement, velocity, and acceleration in simple harmonic motion. So that is going to be the next point of discussion for us. At this moment of time, let us stop, and I wish you all the best.